How you doing, everybody? It's your natural bodybuilding specialist, Kelly Brown. And if you're interested in doing a self-development program, becoming a better person, getting your mind right, your body right, your money right, your relationships right, taking care of yourself, and doing all those things, trying to become the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, then stick around to the end of this video so that you can learn the different tools that I've used that have been helping me on my self-development journey. Even though I'm not my best version just quite yet, I do have some tools that I think could help you guys along the way. I have done some self-work, and based on some of the things that I've researched, I'm going to share them with you today, and hopefully they can help you guys on your journey as well. Alright, stay tuned. I got this idea from the 5% Nation, which was a movement derived from the Nation of Islam in the 1960s. This whole personal development that I've been on, which I call my Godbody Journey, the term Godbody that was used back then was meant as an individual who had gained a deep understanding of self and the universe. So a couple years ago, I decided to start working on myself to become the best version that KB possibly could be. And I wanted to really figure out and unravel what was going on with me, like where I'm supposed to be, like what place in life I'm supposed to, where I'm supposed to be in life, what my calling is for, what's my purpose, all that other stuff. And during your youth, I'm still young, but during your younger years, you don't really quite know exactly where you're supposed to be. You don't have all the guidance. And a lot of times the guidance that you're getting is from the environment around you, maybe what you're watching on TV, the people that you know, your family, your friends and such. And if you're inside of that advice and you're inside of living that life, sometimes you can't really see how bad it really is. You probably have a feeling like, this ain't right, this can't be life, like something gotta be better than this. But there's like really nowhere to go, nobody to ask, what do I do? What am I supposed to be working on? And a lot of times during your overall lifespan, even as a kid, you kind of get glimpses of what the right thing is or what feels right, but you can't always confirm it based on the people who are around you and stuff like that. Everybody can't really help you all the time, and you may be looking for answers in certain places, in religion, or from your friends or family, or from the internet, or from somebody you know, or somebody you respect, or from your mother, your father. And sometimes those people are just the worst people to be giving advice or the worst people to be helping you, and so it can kind of mess you up along the way. And so once you get older, you get a chance to realize that, okay, you're in control of your own thoughts and your mind, and you can pretty much like control different things. When I first started bodybuilding, I did it out of desperation because the other areas of my life weren't really going right. So I said, okay, well, let me try doing something with my body. At least I can conquer this. If I can figure my body out, then I should be able to figure out the rest of the stuff. Okay, I figured out my physique to a degree. I won some championships and trophies and stuff, and that helped my ego a little bit, gave me some accolades and gave me something to kind of like be a part of. But it was like, this isn't necessarily what fulfills me, this activity, but the journey of going through the process is what I had fun with. And the journey of being able to tell other people, hey, this is what I did, this will help you, let me write you a plan that works on this based off of my history. I think that was the fun part for me at the end of it all, looking back on it. And so I wanted to do like my own self-reflection, self-work, inner journey to kind of figure out where I needed to be and to put all the puzzle pieces around me together, and there's so many different segments to your life. There may be an area in your life where you're just working on your mind and your mental health, and your mind may just be everywhere, whatever, like you got to get that under control. Then you may have an issue with your physique or your body, you may have to get your health under control, or your physique under control, or your eating, your diet, or whatever. And that's its own segment. Then you may have your money issues. You got to get that under control. Then you have your relationships. Why do your relationships end up like this? And with your family or friends or whatever. How come you end up in this situation? Do they make you feel good all the time? Do they not make you feel good? Do you keep on surrounding yourself with bad people? So you have these different areas of your life that you have to put into categories and try to make them all be in sync to be this one person that is the center of that web of all these different things that you need to be to make yourself a complete best version of yourself. And you don't know how to do it, but you got to figure it out, right? So here are some of the things based on my diligent research and stuff that probably worked for me a little bit. Maybe it didn't work for me some, but um, I'll go over what I thought really helped a lot, in the sense of the grand scheme of things. The first thing I want to say is, getting your mind right. So our first goal is to get our mind right. I had to remove certain music from my life. I couldn't listen to certain things. Some of the music that I was listening to was inspiring me to do negative stuff. It was inspiring me to not create. It was inspiring me to be sluggish, or to just not really be a fun person, more to be a tough, rigid, watch my back type of person, And I just think that a lot of times when you have that, you start attracting people around you who are like that. And sometimes a lot of people are like that, and you'll find a community in that type of environment, which is fine. But at the same time, if you realize like, hey, this isn't really the type of environment that I want to associate myself with, I got to get out of here. Then you have to start realizing, okay, what am I listening to? What are these people saying? And some stuff was good, and I filtered out what was good, and some of the stuff was kind of like, I don't need this. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. So yeah, negative music, it can be okay, but just not too negative. Some stuff is just a little too much for me, and I just don't need it. You know what I mean? It's just like, what you think about this? What you think about this? And I can't keep up with all the stuff. So some things I had to remove from feeding my brain with negative music. I replaced it with positive podcasts, not positive music necessarily. I kept the stuff that I still like. I'm still listening to my music, but I started, instead of going to the gym, working out to just music, I'll go to the gym and I'll work out to like a positive podcast that was something that was in the field of where I needed to work on. So if I'm talking about working on my mind, I'll be listening to a psychology podcast, something about how to get my mind together. While I'm in the gym, synchronizing, working on my body, my physique, I'll also be in the gym working on my mind. And I had a podcast that I listened to that was about stock trading psychology, which, the psychology in any type of thing that you listen to, any platform or any type of podcast that you listen to, if it has anything to do with psychology in that particular field, you might be psychology in IT, psychology in psychology, whatever you're listening to in psychology, they're all kind of linked together. And so you'll start realizing that, okay, well, I have to have my mind right for this. I have to have my mind right for this. I have to have my mind right for this. And so you'll start putting together and plugging the pieces in of surrounding your thoughts and your mind and what you're feeding yourself with what you're listening to, with stuff that's going to help your psychology, And so I'll listen to psychology type podcasts, relationship psychology podcasts, money psychology podcasts, and just anything that has anything to do with mental clarity or what to do better with your psychology or how to fix yourself up. Even when it comes into doing self-work, it might be like, knowing your attachment style or knowing some type of love languages or different things like that. You can listen to relationship psychology on those things as well, or your personality type. Listen to podcasts on your personality type, and do these things while you're in the gym. That's what I did when I was in the gym. The next thing I did for my mental was reading my books. And the thing is, like, I have books already, and normally as time goes, I'll grab a book here and there and I'll say, oh, this looks like a good book. I want to read this at some point. Oh, this looks like a good book. I'll order this. And then I might get the book, order it, and then never even get around to it that year. And that's happened for so long. And I'll get books and I'll start it, or I might read the first couple pages and I'll put it down and be like, I'll get to that later. Or I'll skim through it and be like, oh yeah, I learned what I need to learn. And then put it down like, yeah, I read that, or I went through it, Even if I took notes on it, I might go through and take notes on it, and then that's that, And the thing is, when I do that, yes, I may have that book or I save it, but I didn't really get a chance to really learn that book. I just read it, skimmed through it, picked it up, and was like, whatever. Or I got books that I have in my little library over here, on the side of me, that I never even got around to reading before. And so all of those books that I never got around to reading, and the ones that I never finished reading, I didn't read thoroughly, I made an effort to go back through those books and to start really scouring through them to learn the message, to understand what it was that originally made me think about buying this book in the first place, and saying, okay, well, there was something to this that I was thinking, maybe I need to finish this. And so in an attempt to finish my original thought of, oh, let me buy this book, I wanted to go through it and complete it so that now I have the knowledge of what I was thinking about at that time, and I finished that part of me that was just unfinished. And a lot of my personal issue is that I just had a lot of unfinished mental business, like a lot of unfinished stuff. Like, I know I need to do this, I know I need to do this, I know I need to do this, and I just didn't do a lot of things that I know I needed to do. And so trying to capture the thought of I need to do this, I need to do this, and then putting it all together and actually doing it and figuring out the time and making a lifestyle around it that works was tough for me, you know. And so that was but it made more sense when I started having a direction on what to look for. And so it's also starting to complete my projects. When I said I'm going to look for something or I'm going to do something, I just started finishing it and doing it. The other thing I started looking into was my personality type. I encourage a lot of you guys to take these tests online to find out what your personality type is, what your Enneagram is, find out your attachment style, find out your love language, find out whatever type of test you can find. If there's a test that says you would be best fit for this type of career, like any of those big fives or whatever, take all those tests, because there's a community of people who had similar answers to you, and those people in those communities have also written books, or they also have Instagram pages, or they also have podcasts where you can then finish with that original concept of knowing what your personality type is, and now you know where to go to find more information on it. You can join Reddit groups, you can join Instagram pages or whatever, and you can go in there and start seeing in the comments of people who were similar to you, who had issues the same way you did, and maybe they have handled them differently, but at least you have a sense of community on, okay, here go some like-minded people who handle things, you know, or who have been struggling with certain things the way I have. And when you see that, and when you follow these different pages, now that you've kind of replaced your unhealthy pages that you're following on Instagram or whatever with more healthy pages that you're following on Instagram, you can then start to realize that these pages are teaching you something, and you learn about yourself that, wait a minute, I can relate to these messages based on these tests and things that I took, and there's an unhealthy version of myself, there's a regular version of myself, and then there's a healthy version of myself. And then you start saying, okay, yeah, I remember when I was like this, I was having my best time of this year. Or I remember when I was at my worst, I was just like this, and people used to tell me these things, or maybe I'm in denial, and I don't want to really admit it, but I do know that I was like this at this point. All these different things, that level of awareness and getting to know how you're received and how you're coming off to the world is helpful. And those different things can assist you in your journey of self-development by just knowing them in the first place. Just having that level of awareness now. You know, not saying go ahead and do something about it, but the first thing I did was I just had to know. Like, I had to know what I was, why I think like this, why I watch these type of TV shows, what cartoons I like, what characters I resonate with, which music I listen to, why am I drawn to certain things, why am I drawn to certain situations, all these different things. I had to figure this stuff out and really learn myself. The next thing I did was, when I wanted to learn information and look for something, I went on YouTube, where I started utilizing ChatGPT, or just different sources of information. Like, I wanted my YouTube channel to grow, and I started watching more videos on how to make your YouTube channel grow, and started consuming myself in that. Started buying books on how to make my YouTube channel grow. Started doing all the things, listening to other videos and who were giving advice on how to do it, what to do, and things like that, versus me just winging it, you know, and not knowing that there's a whole different back end behind it, or things that I wasn't doing. I was leaving too much money on the table by not having the knowledge. And so by me wanting something to happen but not really knowing how to do it, I'm allowing stuff to just keep not happening for me. And so, will it work? I don't know, but at least I found out how it was supposed to work, you know. And in those attempts, I can feel comfortable with myself knowing that I did give it a fighting chance to learn, you know. And that's more than what I used to be able to say, because maybe in the past I wouldn't have even looked it up or even sought to figure it out, you know. Another thing I did was I joined the men's group. Unfortunately, I had an incident with my ex, and of course made me join a men's group to pretty much like get more time back with my kids. And so at first I was mad, like, man, how y'all gonna do me like this? Y'all ain't doing her like this. and she's the one who caused it all. But then I started realizing, okay, well, let me go through this class and realize, like I got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Make the best of it. So during the interim of that class, I did happen to learn a lot of things, and I learned a lot about how to deal with women. And a lot of us men on this planet, deal with some rotten women. And in the midst of dealing with these chicks, you don't really get a chance to know how to navigate them, and how to respond, what type of man you're supposed to be with these women, And what happens is you get caught up in just different little situations here and there and stuff. And it doesn't have to be like violent, just nonsense, or get scammed or get caught in something else or get tricked into something or get brainwashed or get manipulated into something. All those different things can happen to you when you don't really know how to navigate those things, those situations. And so what I did learn in this class was how to start navigating those situations. And it's helped a lot when it comes to hearing other men's point of views of how they're going through things, because I'm able to identify with them when I hear these things, which lets me know that, okay, I've probably been through something like that as well. And that was me years ago when I was in that. And at this stage in my life now, like, I don't have issues and stuff like that with women. This was an incident that was provoked trying to get my kids away from me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, what do you want me to do now? I'm not even with this lady in the first place. But the women who I'm actually with, like, we don't have problems like that. But now the women who I'm actually with, the problems that we did kind of have, I see where they were based on knowing what people's mental triggers are, and have done some of the self-work myself to see how you can be manipulated by somebody, or if somebody is trying to coerce you, or if somebody is trying to collude with other people to make stuff happen against you, and you don't really know what's going on, but you're just sitting back. Like, I now know how to navigate that stuff, like, I know how to deal with people who are throwing rocks at you and then running away, hiding and saying, no, he did it, he's the one who, like, all of that type of stuff. It's messy, and people in this world are just very messy, and it's not my job to get mad and teach people a lesson, like, it's my job to stay out the way. It's your job to stay out the way. Like, don't get involved in all that other foolishness. Like, let people be crazy and let them do what they're gonna do, and ultimately, like, you trying to fight a crazy person, it makes both of y'all just look crazy, and nobody knows who's crazy. And so you kind of got to just step back and be like, you know what, y'all got that, you know what I'm saying? And just when it comes to keeping your mind together, knowing that that's something that you can't control. You can't control another person, and sometimes those thoughts or those things could trigger you. And when they do trigger you, it starts messing you up in other areas. And so you definitely have to make sure that you keep your mind together when it comes to, your emotions, and learning how to respond when you're in high risk situations with somebody, or you're in arguments and stuff like that, So sometimes you're in an argument, but that argument isn't meant to, it's not really an argument. Sometimes the person just doesn't know how to communicate effectively. And because they don't know how to communicate effectively from what they're really trying to say, or, you may not be receptive to what they are trying to say because you don't know how to listen effectively. And now the both of y'all are arguing, and then it turns into something else, you know what I mean? So I think what I learned most from that class was how to kind of communicate with people's feelings and people who are emotional, and like dealing with my own emotions and how I handle those things, because my emotions don't necessarily come out in I'm mad now. Like, I internalize my stuff. And so because I realized that, now I'm able to say, okay, you know what, let me not internalize it so much. Let me say, hey, listen, this hurt my feelings. I don't like when you did X, Y, and Z. And going forward, like, let me set a boundary, because we can't do that no more. Either we could, if you're going to be like that, we just can't be friends no more, because I got to move on and protect my own energy, or we can address it and say, maybe this was just a mistake, chalk it up to the universe, and act like it never happened. And so, but now I'm more aware of those being the situations that can happen, versus just being like, what, this person, you said what, tell me what, I'm about to, you know what I'm saying? Or allowing certain boundaries of people to overstep their boundaries with me because they're related to me. And now allowing them to say whatever they want to, or maybe they had a bad day somewhere and they get to come back home and talk crazy to me, and I'm just dealing with them talking crazy to me. And I'm like, well, I had a good day. Like, I don't know what you tripping on. You know what I'm saying? So you got to just kind of acknowledge like where people are coming from, and maybe they're projecting their own energy on you. Maybe they're like, you're this person, you're this person. I noticed that you remind me of so and so, and it's because it's in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would you know? Why would you recognize that? It's because it's something that you can relate to. You know, and so different things like learning how to deal with my own emotions, other people's emotions were good from joining that group as well. You know, even though I may not have consistent issues that are coming up all the time, like just hearing the feedback and hearing how people navigate situations is also good. So, you know, that's something else people could do as well. If you don't get a therapist, you could also join some type of group. The next thing I do quite often, maybe once or a few times a week, is journaling. So I do journal, and that's helped me to sort my thoughts out. Sometimes I'll meditate. That helps me to sort my thoughts out too. Maybe if it's a lot going on and I know I need to sit down and just like give myself a minute to just grasp everything and think about it, I'll meditate. I don't know how good I am at it, but you know, I'll try. So that's one of the things I've done on my journey. I try to think about why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think originally a lot of people struggle with their why in the first place. Like, what's the point of this? You know, like, what am I even doing in the first place? Like, am I just here to make some money? Am I just here to get old and die? Like, what's the point? You know, once I kind of figured out what my why was, I started trying to do the things that I actually think about. And so when I'm in passing or I'm out or I might have a thought about something, I'll try to start doing those things more and say, okay, I wanted to go play golf one day. You know what? I might take myself out and actually go play golf. And I don't know if that's going to lead me to something, but I like to imagine that if I don't turn off the thought and I act on what I was thinking about and going to do it, I may run into something else that leads me to something else, that leads me down to something else that was where I wanted to be anyway. And if I turn into a big ball of all of the positive things that I think about, like, ooh, I want to do this, or oh, this would be nice to do, oh, I can see myself doing this, or as long as it's not negative, you know, like if I can see myself doing those things, that's my godlike version inside of me that wants the positivity to come out. And that's what you'll realize that is your inner supply and all you need. All you need is to just think about those things that you want to do. Those things will take you to the promised land. You know, like if you can do them in real time, like based on where you are, you'll know inside of yourself what you need to do to become that person. You don't know if it's to become that person, but you'll know what you need to do. Like if you really want to make yourself feel good in an area, you'll say, yeah, I know I need to do this, and then you don't do it. Go finish that thought and go do it real fast and see what it was like, because you may end up leading into something else. You know, when it comes to, let's say for an example, eating something that's maybe not that healthy for you, you may say to yourself, yeah, I know I need to pack lunch. If I want to lose weight, I know I need to pack lunch, but I'll get around to it, whatever. You know you need to do it, but then you just didn't do it. And now, because you didn't do it, you're that man who has that body of the result of being that person who didn't do it. But if you were to go do that stuff, then you might be that man who has the results from being the type of person who had the discipline to do the thing that they thought about doing. And so you might be a whole different version, a whole different alternate universe version of yourself by just doing those things that you thought about doing in the first place versus not doing them. And so, as long as they're positive, of course. And so that's one of the things that I try to think about my why. Like, you know, why do I want to do these things? Well, let me just, instead of me trying to figure out what's the detail, what things do I think about? Because then that can kind of guide me into the direction of doing the things that I want to do anyway. And then I'll figure out, oh yeah, this is why, this is what I really was thinking. This is what I was trying to put together in my mind, you know, that I just couldn't. So, and then I had to find a reasonable schedule for all of it. Once I was able to figure out a good schedule to put it all together, trying to chip away at doing all of the right things as much as possible and fitting them in within a week, then things started working out a little bit better for me, and I started getting a better peace of mind, like having a better schedule with my daughter, having a better schedule with the women I was dealing with, having a better schedule with my working arrangements and my videos and my editing, just having a better schedule with stuff. Like some days I would be on the phone with people for 2 hours, and those 2 hours I was supposed to be doing something else, and instead of me reading my books or doing my other stuff or going somewhere and working out, like I was just on the phone. You know what I mean? And it was like, whoa, what am I doing on the phone? You know what I'm saying? So, and sometimes it takes you a while because, like, man, I need that. I need to just vent and get away for a second just to talk to somebody. But Other times, like, man, I need to get back to business. Like, I know I need to be doing this and not being on the phone. So you kind of got to cut those things off. And yeah, you may feel bad, like, man, I missed all that time and I was over there on the phone doing whatever, but I should have been working. You know, you got to charge that to the game and try not to leave no money on the table and just try to get everything that's supposed to be yours. And so if you know you need to be working and doing this and doing that, like, grab all that so that you can't at the end of the day say, well, I didn't do everything I know I needed to do, so now I'm this version of myself. You know, yeah, if you that version, you deserve to be depressed. Now, as it pertains to getting your body right, getting my body right, I'm gonna keep this one short. There was a few things that I still recommend to everybody. For one, is going to the doctor and getting your allergy tests and figuring out what's wrong with you. I had multiple food allergies. I had multiple health issues that were underlying I didn't even know about. I got them resolved, and now my body does way different things. And so I made other videos on that. Like, I had an issue with my prostate. I had issues with food allergies. I was allergic to shrimp. I was eating shrimp all the time. I was allergic to wheat. I was eating wheat all the time. I was allergic to hazelnut. I don't know if hazelnut bothers me, but I was allergic to it. And those things would just make my body swell up. And so there's other nuts and things that I think I'm still allergic to that I haven't quite figured out just yet. But me going to the doctor started the idea to fix my body up. And so I can't do everything from just trying to throw stuff at the wall in the gym and see what sticks and buying supplements. Sometimes you got to go to the doctor and figure out, hey, what's wrong with me? And sometimes doctors be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, but you got to keep on digging and keep digging and keep digging. And then they may find that thing that you know just didn't feel right about yourself. And then once you do figure out maybe why something was off, and I'm not saying you have something off, but I felt like something was off with my physique. And so once I was able to figure out what that thing that was off of my physique was, my body responded way better when it was time to go into the gym and work out and to eat foods, because now I was eating the right things and I was working out the right way, you know. Also, when it comes to working out and getting my body right, I only do exercises that get me sore. And so I don't waste my time with doing exercises just to be doing them. Like, I don't have time for that. I want to do exercises that I know are guaranteed to make me look the way I want to look. I also gave myself a realistic goal look. Like, I realized that I can't be comparing myself to those other dudes who are, you know, way huger than me or different, you know, different sizes. Like, I'm not going to be 300 pounds or the biggest or the bad. Like, I'm not going to do all that. I'm not trying to power lift and lift super heavy. Like, my day-to-day life doesn't call for that. I just want to look great. I want to be able to take my shirt off and everybody turns their head around and like, oh shoot, what's that? You know, so instead of me trying to work out for having numbers, I want to work out for the aesthetics. And so that was just where I fit in better. And so now my workouts, I'm not all stressed out about, well, I got to power lift this day and I got to strongman lift this day and I got to do calisthenics this day. Like, I just make my exercises and my workout plan to do a few things, maybe 3 or 4 exercises in a workout day that I know are going to trigger areas in my body that are going to make me look the way that I want to look. So that could be a suggestion to you guys too who don't have a lot of time. I'll even work out for 15 minutes. Like, just to not skip a workout, I'll go in there and squeeze in a 15-minute workout just in a day. Like, and I will not feel bad about it. I'll go in there and just do triceps. Like, that's all you need. You can squeeze out 3 exercises if you don't take no long breaks or nothing like that and do those in 15 minutes. I'll do 100, 200 reps of one thing in 15 minutes and my triceps will be burned out. You know, or the same thing with your chest. You can go in there and if you don't have much time, you exercise with a time constraint and do things for time versus trying to do them thinking that you got to do them for sets. Just change your mind around and your body's going to respond the same way. Your body doesn't know whether you were in there for 30 minutes or for 5 minutes. It's going to know that you did the workload. And so if you can squeeze that workload in a short amount of time, now you don't have to be having a whole day revolved around making it into the gym at a certain time and doing your exercise at a certain time. You don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is just get in there and do the exercise and work the body part. That's what I've been doing. I just try to get my full body in within the week somehow. So as long as I hit one body part during the end of before the week is over, then I'll feel good about it. As it pertains to my relationships, understanding based on certain mental behaviors of what's toxic and what's acceptable and how I come off to the world and the type of person that I want to represent myself as and saying, okay, well, if I'm representing myself as this type of person, I have to have a woman who's reflecting the version of myself that I'm trying to showcase as well. And that's the inner version of me. Like, I want her to be able to see how I am on the inside, and I need her to be good on the inside too. Maybe the outside might not be all that, but as long as both our insides are good, then we can kind of work well together. And there were a lot of things that I didn't realize were negative internal issues with people. I don't think that it's wrong to have had toxic relationships in the past. I think that once you can identify where you went wrong at, you have to try to work hard in your next relationship to not bring those same old features into your new situations. And so that's pretty much what I've noticed, is that I try not to bring my old bad behaviors into my new situations. And not saying they were bad behaviors, because some of them behaviors were actually good. They were better fitted for this person, or for this newer person. But knowing why I'm doing them and having a pure heart about them is different from doing them with a malicious intent. And so some people do stuff with a malicious intent, to get back at you for spite because they mad, all this other stuff. And that type of stuff, I can identify that when it comes to a relationship and see, oh, she's trying to do me like this, versus saying, okay, this was just an accident, or maybe she was going through something that day. I listen to different podcasts about dating and relationships. I listen to podcasts about, and I'll follow different YouTube pages about dating and relationships that give healthy advice, what to look out for, red flags, green flags. And I also have read books on relationship styles. And all those things have helped me, because really I have a better understanding of who I am, the type of man I would want to be in a relationship, and the type of woman I need to be with in order for us to work well together. And I'm not saying that I need to have this, I need to have that. Like, I don't need nobody, but I need a better version of myself, and I need a great version in her as well, so that we can be equally matched as we're both doing, great. And so she has to be doing her own self-development, or has already been developed already, in order to be on my page, because I can't keep on growing and she's just stuck right here, and I'm just becoming this better person for this person who isn't doing any work. So now that I'm realizing that, it makes a lot of sense who I would want to put my time into, because I wouldn't really want to invest time in somebody who's not also trying to become a better version. Not just become a better version for me, but become a better version for herself as well. The 5% Nation, which was an organization back in the 60s that was teaching people to become a higher version of themselves. And so that's pretty much what I've been chasing. I heard about that as a little kid, and my friends and stuff were like, what's up, Godbody, what's up? And we used to say that, but I never really got a chance to look into that. But as an adult, I was like, hold on a second. This makes a lot of sense. Like, I should be doing this. I should be following this journey. I should be following this path. This is exactly what I need, especially for a black dude. It's like, here we go right here. Like, I need to be looking at, trying to figure out, all the details. The way to apply the techniques are self-reflection and knowledge, seeking information about your heritage, your culture, personal history, your strengths, your weaknesses, the potential for growth, and understanding the world around you. And all of those different things are positive things that we should all be doing, that I've taken on traits of trying to do, to understand more of just the universe, versus me just, thinking it's all about me. I understand that I'm just one little seed, out of this whole big thing, and really just trying to find some way to plant myself, and so I can just sprout and mind my business, So, and that's what we're all trying to do at the end of the day. But and that's what the knowledge is, that's the part of the knowledge. They talk about knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's the first part, which is the knowledge and doing the self-reflection. The wisdom comes from the education and having the ability to actually apply that knowledge. So it's one thing to have the knowledge, it's another thing to have the ability. So like earlier when I was saying that I have my books and I can read my books, sometimes you'll read a book and you'll go through it and you'll just kind of go through it. And you're like, all right, that was cool. But then sometimes you got to go back in that book and you got to read it, and you got to read it thoroughly 2 times, 3 times, like you was in school or college. And then it's like, oh, now I understand what they were trying to say. Oh, this has a different meaning. I had to read this 3 times just for it to make sense. And that's where the wisdom comes in, because now you're figuring out what this really means, and now you have to go around and you have to go out and apply it to real life and say, here, let me test this out. Now that you're just testing out what you learned, what you just read, that's where the wisdom comes in. Not just by knowing it, but actually applying it to real life. You're the wise one when you're doing the stuff, not just by saying, oh, all in my head, I read some stuff and now I just know everything. You can't just know everything. You got to actually do the thing that you've learned. Making sound decisions, problem solving, navigating life's challenges, all of that is wisdom. And the understanding comes in when you just have more awareness and deeper insight into life. So not just having a level of awareness of what's going on, but having a level of awareness and the deeper meaning to why people are doing stuff, why things are happening, where you are, what your vibration is like, what your potential is, all those different things. Having respect for others, recognizing that everybody has inherent divinity in them, and you have to treat everybody with dignity and kindness. And once you do that and just have a kind heart, you rolling. I don't know what's going to happen to me in the long term. I don't know if any of this even matters. It's giving me something to abide by. I'm staying out of jail. I'm not hurting nobody. Mind my business. I'm working on my own business. I got my Mechanoid 88, which is something I've been putting my time and heart and soul into. I have a better understanding of myself and my future. I know what it is that I need to do on the day-to-day now. I have a strategy for every category in my life. And I have a book for every category that I want to improve on in my life, or I know where to go. And I know how to capture and I'm working on capturing my thoughts as they come to me so that I can say, okay, here's a thought, I'm gonna try this out. And when those things actually do work, I can feel good about myself because I did what I was thinking about. And that's important to me. And so I would encourage you guys to figure out what's important to you. Like I said before, consider your personality types, consider your zodiac sign, consider how you was raised, consider the type of person who you want to be, consider the type of person why you want to be like that. All those different things matter when it comes into doing your own Godbody journey. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. And a Godbody journey is a personal development journey. It's just your own thing. There's no religion, there's no scriptures behind it. If you know you need religion, then maybe you need to dip into looking for religion and certain answers. If you know you need that, that's part of your journey. It's not me to say, hey, my journey was looking for this. You need to find it in your own journey. So do that in your own. Consider all the things that you need to make yourself the elite version of who you're supposed to be. If you got to write it all down, if you need to change things around, if you got to kick some people out of your life, it is what it is. But be selfish and figure out what it is that you need for yourself and do those things. That's what I've been doing. Hopefully, and try not to step on nobody's toes along the way, okay? If I step on some toes, you know what I'm saying, it'd be like that sometimes. But for the most part, though, I'm trying my best not to. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something in today's video. If you did, please share with somebody. This was more of a podcast. Don't forget to go to Mechanoid88.com. I appreciate you guys from shopping the store. It's definitely helping out a lot. And this is something that I really want to do. If you want to go and start your own self-development journey, go to Mechanoid88.com. Download your weekly and monthly planner or your workout calendar, and those things can help you start on your own self-development journey so that you can organize things and keep them written out so that you know exactly what to do. You have your journals written in there. You have all the things that you need in order to become an elite version of yourself. What gets measured gets improved, so start documenting the journey, and once you start documenting where you're at, that's how you'll know you'll be able to start making progress and changing once you write it all down. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.